Will do. Will do. I'll do my best. So, good afternoon. Thanks for attending to hear about our storm response. The weather came through just as predicted, just as forecast. We got the heavy rains, we got the high sustained winds, and then we had those really high gusts well into the 50s. And that combination of rain, sustained winds, and high gusts caused numerous entire trees and tree limbs to come down onto our system, causing outages and blocked roads. So yesterday at noontime, we declared an emergency response plan at level 4, and we remain at that level at this point in time. Right now, we have just under 70,000 customers that remain without power. Since midnight of last night, we've restored over 80,000 customers. We've also been able to clear 150 blocked roads since last night, and we continue to work on those and prioritize those with the towns. Any remaining have either a crew on the site or assigned to that particular job. And even though this was a widespread storm event that really affected a large portion of the United States, we were successful in getting 1,100 crews here into Connecticut to work on this storm restoration. So right now working, we have 450 line crews that are responding to outages. We have another 100 troubleshooters. Now, troubleshooters are also line workers, and their primary goal today is to clear those blocked roads. That's their first response, work with the towns, clear those blocked roads, and as they clear those blocked roads, we will then reassign them to outages. We also have 300 tree crews that are on site. They're performing both tasks, so they're supporting the troubleshooters in clearing the blocked roads, and they're also supporting our line crews in restoring customer outages. And this was a tree event. That's why we have so many of those tree crews. This was clearly an event where trees came down and impacted the system. We have another 250 field crews that are also here working on restoration. Those are underground line workers, station electricians that do our switching and work on our highly technical equipment. And we also have a contingent of service crews. So these are workers that work with small buckets and even ladders, and they restore that last wire to your house or to the customer. So from the pole to the house, we have service crews that were working in parallel. And therefore, when we pick up a large area outage, your individual home should come back. If not, at the same time, we're working on those and driving that customer numbers down. So we also have they're behind the scenes, but we have a full staff of restoration management teams. They're actually managing those outages. So as great as our line workers are, they need someone to tell them where to go. So we have a whole team of people that are analyzing the call patterns, analyzing our outage system, and they're determining where to send those crews, what crew arrangement to put them in, and then they're efficiently managing crews to drive those numbers down. As I said, over 80,000 restored since last night. So at the same time, we're working with leaders in each of the towns. We have our community representatives have made contact with each and every one of our towns, and we're working with them to prioritize blocked roads and critical facilities, and we'll continue to do that. So with that, I think that's kind of the planned update, and I will entertain any questions that you might have.
I just want to clarify, you said 450 crews, correct?
So we have a total of 1,100 crews across the board. The 450 is the primary line crews that are working directly on outage restoration.
And you said this is a level 4 event. Can you break that down for us in terms of, how high that gets, sort of what does that mean in
Sure.
layman's terms?
Yeah, we start at a level 5, so kind of our smallest emergency event. We have events every day, but our smallest emergency event was a level 5. That's actually what we started thinking of this event, and then we moved it up to a level 4 as the weather forecast tightened up. And that level of response generally says that you'd have 125,000 up to 380,000 customers out, 2 to 6 days of restoration. In this particular event, as I said, we've already restored over 80,000 customers, and we're now down under 70,000, and we're continuing to push to restore everybody else.
What is your message to people who are preparing for big holiday dinners? They might be in the dark. They don't know how long all of this is going to take.
Yeah, it's a good question because we still have quite a ways to go. We have all of these crews here. We are determined to do everything we can to restore everybody as quickly and as safely as possible. But I do think folks have to look at alternate plans. As I said, we're pushing as hard as we can, and we've made great progress, but we still have a ways to go.
Can you talk about what tonight and tomorrow
Sure. Well, that's it's right around the corner. In fact, there could be another wind front that comes with it, so we could take on additional damage, and that's why we have all these crews here and we're working. Our crews are going to be working late into the night, and then we have a second round of crews that are coming in this afternoon in a couple of hours actually, and they will actually continue the work through the night. So round the clock, we'll be able to go after these outages and continue to restore customers. And it's exactly as you suggested. We know the cold is here. We know that tomorrow's Christmas Eve, and right after that is obviously Christmas Day, and we are all pushing as hard as we can to get our customers back.
Is there anything specifically with your crews that the cold makes more difficult to do your job?
You know, it's a good question. You know, when you look at line workers, they go 40 to 45 feet in the air in all weather conditions, whether it's windy, whether it's hot, or whether, as you suggest, it's going to be very, very cold. And oftentimes when they get there, they're working on energized equipment. So these are people that have very unique physical skills. You need physical strength, stamina, and dexterity to work on that energized equipment, and you need the mental toughness to work in all those weather conditions. So we have a really great team, and they will continue to do that. Even though it's cold, they'll push on through that. We do have some concern over the driving because of the flash freeze, but we know that the DOT's out there, they're going to take care of their end of the business, and we just caution our folks to be very careful when they're driving.
As far as like going up in the bucket trucks, was there any point today where the wind gusts were too fast, heavy for you guys to go up?
Yeah, so again, great group of line workers. In a state this large in Connecticut, and with the winds the way they were gusting, at any one individual area, the gusts are low enough that it can work, and in a different area, maybe not. So our crews actually go out to the job site, and then they make that determination right there. Can I safely perform this work with this wind? And, you know, I would just point out, since midnight, they've restored 80,000 customers, so I would say, you know, they're really pushing through the conditions.
And I know you can't estimate how long all of this is going to take, but is there anything you can, because I know people are really anxious to sort of know, people in communities like East Haddam where half the town is still in the dark, days, weeks, or is it just, you can't say right now?
Well, let me say a couple things about that, actually. This was a state, just as really was predicted, was a statewide event. So significant tree damage across the entire state, and the trees then came down across the system, and we have our crews spread out across the entire state, so we're attacking it on all fronts. On any one individual town, you can't necessarily tell whether we're actually working on it, because we could actually be in another town. I myself happen to live in Tolland. We don't have a substation in Tolland, where our feeds are coming from Coventry, from Ellington, from Vernon. So you might not see a crew, but we're actually around the corner or in the next town a mile away that's actually working on that. So we're making the push across the board, and we're trying to work down those largest towns. As I said, we're working largest outage and just working our way down to the smallest outage and pushing for full restoration. All right, thanks again. Good questions. Appreciate you. Appreciate the word. Sure, Steve Sullivan, STEVE SULLIVAN, President of Connecticut Electric Operations. Thanks, folks.